En 1998, México prohibió el cultivo de maíz genéticamente modificado para proteger su patrimonio agrícola.
In Mexico, there are literally hundreds of varieties of corn. Some of them are adapted to very wet climates, some to very dry climates. Some of them are resistant to certain specific pests. Some of them have different tastes. Some of them are good for doing popcorn that was invented by the Aztecs. Some varieties are good to make tortillas or to feed the cattle. There's a whole bunch of kinds of corn in Mexico.
Hace alrededor de 7.000 años, los habitantes de México empezaron a domesticar el maíz. Se desarrolló una relación íntima entre los seres humanos y esta planta. El maíz es la base de su dieta y parte de su cultura.
In the mountains in Jalisco, the farmers plant on purpose their cornfields near areas where the wild corn grows, the teocintle. And the reason why they do that is because they know perfectly well that they get resistance to pests transferred from the wild strain into the cultivated strain.
We don't know which parts of that diversity are going to be useful, and we need to preserve them all. Now, most of the diversity for crops is contained within so-called land races. These are the plants that small farmers, generally in very diverse areas of the world, maintain in very small plots with selection for the very specific conditions of the plots, which might be certain altitude, frost or drought, or very specific conditions. That is really the basis of diversity that we are continuously tapping from to maintain our commercial production of crops, to feed the world, basically.
En 1970, una infección destruyó millones de hectáreas de maíz en los Estados Unidos. Los Estados Unidos tuvo la suerte de encontrar un tipo de maíz criollo originario de México resistente a la plaga. En el 2000, el Dr. Chapela descubrió maíz genéticamente modificado en los cultivos de esta remota zona. Los campesinos habían comprado maíz transgénico estadounidense no etiquetado en la tienda para su consumo, y como los campesinos han hecho por miles de años, se comieron una parte y sembraron la otra.
Farmers make no difference between seed and grain for the obvious reason that grains are seeds and are viable seeds. They have a little embryo. They have the little baby inside the seed, and if you put it in the ground, it will germinate.
La semilla transgénica se cruzó con el maíz criollo y la contaminación penetró en el linaje de este antiguo grano.
Ese maíz se come, se está vendiendo a toda la población y en todo México, supongo.
Porque no saben en realidad qué consecuencias
pues
puede tener.
Es un maíz para consumo humano. Entonces, ¿cómo va a ser malo, no?
Es más barato para los mexicanos importar maíz de los Estados Unidos que cultivarlo. Esto es porque los Estados Unidos subsidia el cultivo de maíz, mientras que México no lo subsidia. Sin embargo, muchos mexicanos prefieren cultivar sus variedades nativas.
¿Por qué usted está tan necio de estar plantando la misma semilla?
Selección.
¿Cuál? No comprar.
Bueno, nosotros lo tomamos como un ahorro, porque también a veces, digamos, falta de económico, pues no tenemos que correr a la CONASUP para comprarlo. Sin embargo, estamos comiendo, según nosotros estamos comiendo lo mejor, porque es un maíz que es...
Todo eso.
Sí.
Es que el trabajo que ustedes hacen aquí es un trabajo que reditúa, pero para el mundo.
Sí.
The farmers said, if we do have transgenic elements in our corn, is it going to be like our colleague in Canada? Will the multinational companies come and demand payment for the presence of the gene?
En noviembre del 2001, el Dr. Chapela publicó un artículo dictaminado entre pares en la revista científica Nature, revelando la contaminación transgénica.
We took this very seriously from the beginning, and we have been doing studies and collecting samples and sending them around, trying first to duplicate Ignacio Chapela's results, which we did, and now going a step further and identify this problem.
This is an issue that is a bit contentious because we didn't want to in any way jeopardize our genetic heritage. The first thing is we didn't want that to happen. Whether that is going to have other consequences, well, that's a matter of debate. The fact is, those sequences were not supposed to be in those corns, and they are now. And that's a big problem for us.
What happens when you introduce into these areas a single genotype, the one industrial crop, that preferentially passes its genes into the progeny? What happens is basically you crowd out that diversity. And this in the long term is a major threat to food security. Not only for those people who live there, but also for us, also for our industrial production of food. If we do not have access to those genetic resources, we're going to be facing challenges that we are not going to be able to solve.
No solo el maíz transgénico ha levantado polémica en torno a las patentes en México.
Current international system of patents does not protect in any way traditional knowledge, and we have had a number of problems in Mexico related to that. I think there are 3 or 4 applications for patents for tortillas, like it was a new thing, like somebody had invented tortillas, which of course have existed for 3,000, 5,000 years, we don't know. First of all, some people will debate, and I think it is a worthwhile debate, if life should be patented at all. And that's a discussion that humanity as a species hasn't done properly. And it is a sort of pending homework, something we need to do.
Para el 2003, Estados Unidos había vendido millones de kilos de maíz transgénico a México, a un precio menor que el costo de cultivarlo.